You're listening to the Feelgood Factor podcast brought to you by HealthBunker. Feelgood Factor podcast is a new edition giving listeners access to equipment, therapies, and expert research. HealthBunker is a CQC registered wellness clinic and treatment centre offering complementary therapies like ozone, intravenous nutrition therapies, infrared saunas, diagnostic testing, and many other therapeutic modalities for various illnesses like Lyme disease, autoimmune issues, and cancer, utilising the skills of our team of highly qualified nurse practitioners. HealthBunker also has a growing range of high-quality supplements, including unique herbal formulations. The aim is to help you take control of your own health. There is a 25% discount code for all HealthBunker products for listeners in the show notes. At the end of the interview, to give you an example of what the 432 Hz healing frequency feels like, I will play a full-length composition from Alex's True Solfeggio albums. Alex's contact, YouTube channels and website details are also in the show notes.
Welcome to the Feelgood Factor podcast. Now please welcome your host, Dom Watterson.
You're listening to the Feelgood Factor podcast brought to you by HealthBunker. And today we've got Alex Michael, who is a highly talented virtuoso musician, stroke producer, stroke engineer, stroke everything really, film producer, musical video producer, who wrote the brilliant theme tune to this podcast a couple of weeks ago. Over the past decade, he's repositioned his thinking, like we all have, over the last, certainly since the last 5 years, questioning what we've been told is true for our entire lives, which is quite a big subject. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing the frequency 432 Hertz, the healing frequency, specifically, which has become one of his chosen specialities. And the Feelgood Factor theme tune is in 432 Hertz as well. And one of the subjects we'll be discussing in depth is Alex's healing music albums, and I'm going to destroy this name, True Solfeggio.
That'll do, that's perfect.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
In my Ridiculous Yorkshire foreign stroke accent. But Alex, welcome.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's nice to see you again, mate.
Yeah, nice to see you. We were just discussing the changes in his lives, like you live in Spain now, but the friends that I had 20, 25 years ago, I've probably got one or two of them people now. Not that I've fallen out with everybody. One or two of them people I talk to are mainly that have been in my life a long time. And I'm sure you've probably gone through a similar change, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, when you start talking the talk of truth, you know, people can't resonate with that. They can't understand you. It's like you're Radio 1 and they're Radio 2, and you're somebody that they just can't tune into that frequency. So whatever you say, they're just going to hear white noise. It's just they can't pick up on anything to have a conversation with you. So they're obviously not going to listen to you anymore, and they're just going to drift away. But what you do end up doing is attracting people that do talk your language. So I've let go of all of my friends that don't understand me because they just hear white noise. And the same is true when I listen to them. You know, they're talking about football and that, and I just tune out, and I don't give a shit about that. So that's what happens. I think, you know, you could call it new agey, raising frequency and all, raising your vibration or whatever, or raising consciousness or whatever. But you know that people will come and people will go. It's as simple as that.
And like all, going back to the new age stuff, like all lies, there are elements of truth to that, and you've got to decipher and pull them all out. Because there's no doubt, say, meditation helps. But in a lot of my research, I've realised that all these Indian gurus were all working for British civil servants service and things like that, and they're coming from
on the Epstein list, aren't they?
Yeah, elite family backgrounds, and they were pushing all the Buddhist religions and all the stuff with the Beatles and what have you. The Maharishi was worth before he died $1 billion apparently. So
Good business, isn't it?
Transcendental meditation is highly profitable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to be discussing a few of your, I'd say recent, but they're not that recent. Some of them are. They've been out a while.
I've got 6 albums in total, and they all span different genres, and they're all conscious music. All the lyrics are conscious. Like my rock album, for instance, is when I was frustrated and angry, and I don't need a therapist. I need a microphone. So I come into the studio and I'm like angry with the world, saying, "I told you so." And I've got another song called Television Watching News Believers. And it was just like my frustration that the people just utterly complying to this nonsense. So I made a rock album. When I was going through, the heliocentric cosmological deceptions, dare I say it, flat Earth, then I made a complete album, a comedy album, just really ripping NASA to shreds. And that's all conscious stuff. It's like, look at the moon landing, look at the ISS, look at satellites, look at this, look at everything. And I just poured my heart out in one album, and I did it comedically. So they're 2 very, very vastly different albums. We've got another one called Unplug, which is all kind of MTV unplugged, all just using natural unplugged instruments. And it's got a conscious message throughout. And then I've got also 2 Solfeggio albums. These are Solfeggio healing frequencies that are embedded and infused into the music. Everything I do is recorded in 432 hertz, but these 2 Solfeggio albums have embedded Solfeggio healing frequencies. And I kind of just put it out there as a test, really, as a scientific experiment, and just sort of let it out there and see what people think, because it's testable, observable, repeatable, which is the very criteria you need for a scientific experiment. So, and I've sold a few thousand of those albums, and I just sat back and I didn't ask for any feedback, but I got it. I was getting messages constantly from people saying I had these profound effects. I had this pain in my hip, gone after I listened to your album. I had sleep apnea, I had sleep paralysis, gone. My kids are calm, my pets are calm. Like it's just like my plants are growing. I play my your music to my plants, and it's just like profound message after profound message after profound message. And I thought, well, there has to be something to this. So, I think maybe that might be the direction I go in, because the conspiracy stuff doesn't really pay the bills, and everyone's allergic to the word conspiracy. The algorithms certainly are. I've been so censored and demoted. So maybe I'll take the Solfeggio stuff, and rather than call it True Solfeggio by Conspiracy Music Guru, I've now got to set up a new website called healingwithfrequencies.net, where the albums are under the artist name Alex Michael. So I'm kind of the artist formerly known as Conspiracy Music Guru, because I think when people see conspiracy, they switch. I love the word. I bloody love the word conspiracy. The music, the people have conspired to ruin music. That's a bloody conspiracy. So yeah, I might just go under the artist name Alex Michael with the True Solfeggio stuff. I've got volumes 1, volume 2, currently working on volume 3. I've been working on that today. Sounds incredible, but I would say that, wouldn't I? But if these albums are having profound healing effects, even spiritual effects, then why wouldn't I continue doing that? Because I want to leave this apartment better than I found it, musically.
Exactly. And me and Chris were talking last night that there's so many people now doing things that are lifting the lid on the deception that we've been living through all our lives, that they can't possibly keep the lid on it everywhere. It's like the boy with in the dam trying to plug the leaks. They tried it in 2020, but it didn't work totally. Yeah, they could ban people off YouTube, etc. But people still released things and said things, and that frequency of truth is scaring these people to the point where I think. By the way, I think it's a good idea that you split away the two. Which is similar to what we've done with ours. Right, I've set the Feelgood Factor up solely about health. I know we're sort of talking about conspiratorial stuff, but it's going to bleed in whether we like it or not.
Yeah, you can't escape it.
No, and so it should, because it's our life now, isn't it? But I want to get back onto the frequencies so people can understand. My experience with frequencies, I've got Rife machines, I've had other red light frequencies. That thing behind me isn't the sunbed. I'm naturally brown. That thing there is a red light bed. That wooden box there is an infrared sauna. So I'm affair with certain frequencies. I've got a really thick book of frequencies, Rife frequencies that I program into these lasers and things. And it's a similar sort of process that you're talking about, apart from it's coming through sound, isn't it?
It is, yeah. This is just coming through sound. So yeah, I've got the Rife frequency list as well, and there's basically every frequency on there for every ailment that you could possibly think of. All you got to do is go online and find a tone generator, a pure sine wave tone generator. Type those frequencies, sit there with headphones, and be a guinea pig for that sort of stuff. So I'm basically taking those sort of frequencies And I first bumped into a guy by the name of, I say bumped into on YouTube, and his name was Jamie Buturf, Buturff, Jamie Buturf. Really good guy. I resonated with his message, seemed very, very genuine. And he was talking about the true solfeggio healing frequencies. What he's saying by that is when you type solfeggio healing frequencies into Google, it will give you a bunch of propaganda. So also the solfeggio healing frequencies have now been bastardized. If you type in anything about 432, it will give you nonsense. Oh, don't be silly. There's nothing spiritual or healing of 432. It's been debunked. There's no science behind it. There's no studies. But same if you type anything in about virology or cosmology, Google's going to give you a bunch of crap. And the same is true with the solfeggio stuff. And this guy was saying, well, the new solfeggio frequencies, they're all over the internet, got millions of views on YouTube, 528 hertz, the DNA repairing, blah, blah, blah. This guy was saying, no, that's wrong because it's not based on the original Gregorian chants. It's not based on Pythagorean whole number ratios and harmonic, blah, 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 blah. And it was fascinating to me as a musician. And he showed up on the screen all the frequencies that he recommended, and he actually had studies to prove that there were health benefits to these frequencies. I thought, right, I'll take those frequencies and I'll make a song around it. So you start with a pure sine wave frequency, which is very boring. It just sounds like, and there's your key. So I start to build a bit of piano around it. Then the guitar comes in, then some strings, and it's very kind of Pink Floyd-esque, the soundtracks that I've made.
I nearly said that to you, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't set out to make it like that. It's just that when you've got that ambient sort of wishy-washy sort of drift away kind of sound, it's really, and I love playing the guitar, and I love the sound of a Fender Stratocaster as well, which is very Pink Floydy. And I'm just doing these very slow sort of solos over the top of this ambient soundscape. But all the way through these songs, these instrumentals, are the solfeggio healing frequencies embedded. And you can't even, once the music gets going, it builds up, you can't even hear the frequency anymore. So I did 7 tracks on the first album, and they're supposed to be, whether you believe in the chakras or not, that they're supposed to be resonating with the chakra. It's supposed to clear chakra energy and blah, blah, blah. So track 1 was for the crown chakra, track 2 was for the third eye, track 3 was for the throat, track 4 for the heart, and blah, 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 blah. The jury's still out on that, whether the chakras are a thing for me, but these were allegedly the 7 healing frequencies. So I made 7 songs with the 7 frequencies, made them all 7 minutes long. I don't know why 7. It's just apparently 7's the God number, and it's a good number. So 777 all the way through it, and I put it out there, and then people started messaging me going, "You fixed this, thank you." It's like incredible. So
how good a feeling's that?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, it's like the reason I get up now. I've got a purpose now. So what I'm trying to say is, be warned. There are 2 sets of solfeggio healing frequencies. The ones that you see all over the internet. No. The true solfeggio ones, which is what I'm using, and which is why I called the album series True Solfeggio, seem to be, in my opinion, the ones that have these profound effects.
Can I play a couple of minutes of one of those from your YouTube channel? didn't want to stop that. But
it's joyful. It's just joyful reading those messages, isn't it? I mean, just seeing that. I mean, it goes on and on. And I was only able to put a few of the messages that I've received in this 4-minute video, whatever it is. And the music is not that the music that you hear. Like, if you wanted meditative music and you go on Spotify, God forbid you go on Spotify because it's all compressed music anyway. But if you go on there and type in meditative music or whatever, which this is not really. You just get this drony, synthy. The music doesn't go anywhere, but this is instrumentals that has an intro, a chorus, a bridge, a verse, and it actually goes somewhere. It's really, really listenable. And if people, actually commit to listening to the album by putting on some good quality headphones, listen to the unbastardized, uncompressed, full WAV quality files, which are available on my site. Shut your eyes, have no distractions, and listen to the music. I think that's when you can really feel the effects of it.
It's got I remember when I was a kid and I listened to, there were 2 films I remember watching when I was a kid. Watership Down, which is quite sad, but the music was amazing in it. And the Walt Disney film, The Rescuers, which wasn't a big film by by Walt Disney Studios. And like ELO, it had that type of, I think they're like mid-70s sound, really warm feeling of freedom and just bursting out of you. But they weren't like... they were quite slow songs like that, is it? But it takes you with it. It's like floating.
Yeah, it takes you on a journey. I mean, there's a reason why most film scores are done orchestrally or symphonic, because there's an emotion to that. There's a strongness to that. I wouldn't mind betting that, some of those soundtracks are probably in 4/3/2 to get that kind of emotion from you. And classical music and symphonic music is a lot more higher minded. It's a lot more complex, and you can create way more emotion with a symphony. Sadly, I don't have the budget for that or the room for a symphony just yet. But that's the way you can really get emotions out of people. And put that in put that unbastardized in 4/3/2 with healing frequencies. Now you're talking like real higher minded stuff.
And also, I mean, like I won't say the name because I try and put this on YouTube, but like the towers that they're pumping out frequency, they could actually pump out positive frequencies that actually enhanced our well-being.
I guess the technology's there to do that. I mean, it's going back 100 or 200 years, we had bells which were doing the same. That's why they got rid of all the bells, I think. I mean, you've only got to listen to the bell in our town right here. I mean, that goes for miles and miles and miles. So just a simple clang of a bell can reach, how many people can you get in a few miles? Thousands of people you could affect with just the ringing of the bell. So I would imagine, that the technology is there to do that if they had the right intent. But we're not dealing with people that have the best of intentions for us, are we?
No, I mean the bell ringing was passed down ancient traditions, weren't it? It weren't a bit like building and things. I know people going about stonemasons, but bell ringing was up there with one of the highest skills in the city or town at one point. I know in our local village on a Sunday, that we were never churchgoers, but every Sunday you could hear the bell going and people coming out of houses and going to the church. And there was something, even though I didn't go to church, there was something nice and poetic about it, that a calming where people were playing street, kids were playing in the streets, we're all playing out, playing football in local little rec and that. And that doesn't happen anymore.
No, I think there's a reason why they took all those bells down. I mean, you must have seen the pictures of, just graveyards filled with bells. If you want to lower the frequency of a town or a population, take away the frequency devices, which were the bells of a time. And I think cathedrals as well, where places of healing, there's all sorts of cymatic and coding going on in the structure. They're like frozen music, this technology, this architecture. So we're looking at a very different landscape now musically. Music has been utterly bastardized in every way, shape and form. So I'm trying to do the polar opposite of that. I'm trying to do it with the best of intentions, with the best of frequencies, and give people what they want musically, because we just don't have it in our current music paradigm.
And intentions mean a lot. Chris is a chef, and we were talking when our mum made Sunday dinner, you energetically, you could feel that she'd mix those Yorkshire puddings or whatever.
My wife is the same. It's got to be made with love. And the same is true with music. There's a guy by the name of John Goodman who wrote the book on frequencies and healing. I think it's Goodman or Goldman, I'm not sure. And he states that frequency waves, sound waves, carry your intent. They are carriers of consciousness. And Emoto proved this, by saying positive words, by putting the right intent into water and then freezing it, you get, different cymatic and geometrically coherent patterns. So I think the same is true. So I think intent matters more than anything. So I think, yeah, putting the right intent as well is key.
Well, intent could be construed as spells as well, couldn't it? And I'm sure the dark side, if you like, their intent.
Well, you've only got to look at the music industry and see how. Who is it? I think it was Confucius that said, if you want to know if a kingdom is well governed, if its morals are good or bad, take a look at its music. And look what we've got now. We've got Cardi B singing about her vagina. We've got, I mean, it's gang culture, it's guns, it's hoes, it's drugs, it's everything, and it's just vile. It's compressed. It's bastardized in terms of frequency, the visuals, let alone the visuals, the concerts, the live concerts are just like rituals at this point. People dropping dead at concerts and that, and it's like, come on, how can you not see it? So yeah, I want to do the opposite of that, with the right.
What was I going to say? Then I lost me. Do you think then going back a few hundred years to when they were doing like Bach and things like this, the big symphony orchestras, were they done in 4/3/2 or
not all of them? I mean, right. Verdi was a 4/3/2 guy, and there was a few. There's even composers today that choose 4/3/2. I forget the name of the guy now. I'll have to look it up. But he said when he heard a violin in 4/3/2 hertz, he said it was like God spoke to him. And he's still around now composing music, and all his band is tuned to band. It's tuned to 4/3/2 hertz. So yeah, there was a bunch of different tuning frequencies before, like the 1940s, when they set a standard. I think it was 30s, 40s. I think it was the 50s in Europe. So there was a bunch of different. So that was their excuse for like making a keynote tuning standard. Like, we've got all these different frequencies that people prefer. Why don't we just set to one? And then when you start seeing the Rockefeller funding of that, and I don't know about you, but when I hear that name, I don't think of rainbows and unicorn parts. So
maybe unicorns.
Yeah. There's an interesting book that describes all of this. It's called The 440 Enigma. The guy's a little bit off with his cosmology, but when it comes to music and the bastardization of music and how the music industry is like formed over the last 60, 70, 80 years, he's spot on, and he goes into detail about all of this. So, it's quite a thing. And, we both know Mark Devlin and how he's completely crushed our paradigm when it comes to no more heroes. I can't even listen to it. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, if you're listening to this. Going back to that guy saying the 4/3/2 was like God speaking to him. I don't know which God.
Well, that's another podcast.
Yeah. I had another one for Mark to answer at some point.
Yeah.
So the Solfeggio, is that name from is that actual frequency? Is that the frequencies then, or is that a name that you've devised?
No, that's the actual given name from it. When you break it down, it kind of means Sol is like God or Son or whatever, and trust. It's a word trust. Somebody did break it down and did the etymology of the word, but it's like trusting the Son God or something like that. It sounds a bit pagan when you look at it like that.
Yeah.
But apparently they are based on the Gregorian chants, like ancient, whatever ancient is these days. I don't even know what ancient is. I think the timeline is all standardized. So, but allegedly, but for they're supposed to come from these Gregorian chants, allegedly, right? But for me, the proof is in the pudding. Let's see if these things actually work. So I've embedded these frequencies, and you saw just some of the messages there. And I sent you the webpage, and there's like 70 or 80 more of those, and they keep coming in. So for people to say that there's nothing to this, I strongly disagree.
Well, I strongly disagree. When we listened to 2 minutes there, but I've listened to more of it, and more of your music. But you'd certainly get that feeling of it's like you're floating in the womb. That's what it feels like to me.
Imagine if you were to turn all the lights off, right, and close your eyes and have no distractions. That's one of my bugbears, that people don't listen to music anymore. They have it on in the car or in the background while they're working or while they're doing the cleaning. We don't put on. Remember the whole experience of buying an album and putting it on and going to the shop, going to Our Price or whatever, and buying the vinyl, getting so excited, and putting it on the radiogram and putting the needle on and putting your headphones in and sitting there and listening. No one does that anymore. So I'd encourage more people to do, particularly with these albums. I'll definitely encourage it. I mean, you can have it on in the car. You can have it on while you're having dinner, and it's really nice ambient music. So for a dinner party, it's perfect actually. But if you were to immerse yourself into the music with no distractions, I think that's, as I said before, I think that's when you can get the real benefits.
Yeah. Well, where are you with hypnosis? Do you think not hypnosis? Sorry, we'll come to that. Meditation. Do you think meditation is tuning into this frequency as well? Certain meditations.
I mean, we are receivers and transmitters, aren't we? Of
I said that to my youngest today on the way to school. Right conversation, taking your kid to school.
Dad, shut up! I've got sports in 10 minutes.
Yeah, shut your mouth, you silly old git.
But I mean, I guess when you're meditating, I've struggled with meditation because I'm a creative and I can't switch my brain off. I struggle with sleep. Meditating for me is just, so I've never really experimented with it. What I guess you're doing, if you really open yourself up, and this is a problem that a lot of people have, you're opening yourself up to God knows what. I guess there's an argument for that, but there's also the people that say when you're not thinking about your mortgage or your bills or what you've got to do, blah, blah, blah. If you can actually switch off, which I can't, I struggle with that. I'm working on it. But if you can actually unclench and just sort of open up, then, maybe profound knowledge, maybe creative ideas, maybe song ideas would come to me as a creative guy. I don't know, but I've never really tried it. But maybe you're tuning into something, to the ether, to the field or whatever, and allowing yourself to be an open vessel for information. But of course, there are the naysayers that are going to go, well, you shouldn't do it. It's demonic, blah, blah, blah.
Again, it comes back to intention. It depends if you're opening yourself up to try and win the lottery, for instance, or kill 1 million people in Iraq, then possibly you're demonic. But if you're actually doing it to enhance your family or other people, I don't see what's demonic about that.
Yeah, but no good deed goes unpunished, remember?
Yeah. Well, that's the karmic view, isn't it, apparently? And I don't know, I'm not down for the karmic view. It doesn't seem to happen to Tony Blair or anybody like that.
Well, I was just going to mention Fauci. I mean, where's the Epstein, where's the accountability? Where's the justice? We don't see it. I don't have any recollection of ever seeing these bad guys being taken to task.
No, I mean, going back to music concerts, and if you just look at a sporting event or a music concert and the energy that creates, and when you watch Monsters, Inc., for instance, that kids' cartoon film that are just capturing energy off people and the frequencies of that.
There you go. Right. I mean, all of these stadiums seem to be on ley lines, right? There's an energy harvesting thing. I mean, I don't know too much about it, but it's very curious that these arenas are strategically placed.
And not only that, if you go to a sporting event, especially, the trauma from one side to another is going flipping all the time, whatever the sporting event is, even concerts now. So it is basically fear trauma constantly.
It's bread and circus and divide and conquer all in one, isn't it?
Yeah. And music's been taken to another level now because it went from playing in small gigs, if you like, to these huge arenas that people like Pink Floyd played in. Then it went backwards again because that didn't make any sense, apparently. And now they're going back to massive stadiums again, aren't they? And they're selling out as well. Even people like I call them No Direction. Even the people that have, even on their own, they're selling stadiums out, like Wembley and places like that.
Yeah, well, they're part of the system. They have the marketing, they have the budget, they have the record company behind them, and they can feel, they can get exposure. Like, really, they can sell out regardless of how terrible the music is. But most people love terrible music these days anyway. Yeah. And I don't think they're just gigs. I think there's more to it than just gigs. I think there's, it's another soul harvesting or energy harvesting. When you start looking at the technology that surrounds these venues as well, and it's just a question of amplification. Shall we test something? We've got, hundreds of thousands or 20,000 people in this venue. Why not test this technology? And we've seen hordes of people just falling over, right? We've seen the Travis Scott thing, where people have just, that was very underplayed. There was a lot of darkness that went on there, and Ariana Grande concerts and all of that. Yeah. We're seeing something very, very strange going on in the audience. I will never attend a live event.
No, well, they don't really appeal to me anymore either. But I'm an old git, so that's why. Although my eldest son is 31, and he went to an Elvis tribute act the other day.
That's pretty harmless.
Yeah, it's pretty harmless. Yeah. In fact,
my wife, even Elvis is so questionable as well when you start getting into him. I mean, it's
and you're gonna again. People don't realize it. I mean, Mark's proved this, that it goes further back than we ever imagined. I know he's taken it up to like the end of World War II, but it does go back. I don't know if you've watched some of our stuff we've done with Mike Williams on the Doors.
I know Mike. I know Mike's stuff.
We've done. We're just going to record another actually this month about Jim Morrison and the Doors. So a lot of my research goes into the genealogy side of it, not necessarily the music side of it.
Yeah, they're all coming from military families, aren't they? It's that
Yeah.
Laurel Canyon thing that what's his name, Dave McGowan spoke about in his book. It's the weird scenes behind in the canyon or something like that. It's
Yeah.
all when you start looking at the bloodlines, you know, they're not. It's like Mark Devlin's book, like he sums it up really well in the title. No one's dad's a plumber. Where are the plumbers? Where's the plasterers in these places? They're not coming from working class families.
No, it's strange. And I always look at it and think it isn't just a working class movement. I know people who are highly successful who think like we do, you know. However, the fact is that all of these people, the musicians, actors, etc., come from these backgrounds, or the majority of them do. Not all of them. The majority of them do come from a background, not just of privilege, but of like generational actors.
It's a bloodline, isn't it? I mean, isn't Lady Gaga like related to David Cameron or some crap like that? When you start
Kim Kardashian's a cousin of David Cameron.
I mean, come on.
Well, there's a guy called Tim Wallace Murphy, and he studied. I know we're heading off into a different thing, but like we say, this is all connected. Tim Wallace Murphy, he studied most of his life. He's dead now, but he studied most of his life the Knights Templar, the Rosalind Chapel, and things like that. And he was being interviewed, and the lady said, "So there is a bloodline," and he said, "Yeah, there's a bloodline, and there's a bloodline within a bloodline."
Oh.
And so people's comeback to me is that we all related to such and such, but no, because there's a cult of people, and they, like Tony Blair, he's part of that cult.
And there's blood types as well. You know, let's not forget that it might be a particular blood type. This certain blood type breeds certain
psychos. Yeah, right. we said it at the same time.
I mean, the fact that even a young girl did the genealogy on all the American presidents and found out they're all
related.
Like, come on, it's one big club. It's one big bloodline. It's one big family. You know, as George Carlin said, it's one big club, and you're not in it.
Yeah. So, did you say you're writing a new album in 432?
Yeah, I've done Solfeggio Volume 1, then Volume 2. It's a very painful process to make an album. It's actually quite stressful because I have to do every element of it. I'm playing all of the instruments, and then I have to mix and master, and then I have to create the web page and design that. I'm like a one-man band. I do everything. So before I do an album, I have to take a really deep breath. I'm about 5 songs into this new album. I've been working on it for the last 6 months. Usually takes me 6 to 8 months to make an album, but I only do it once. I want it to be as good as possible. And the problem is I have a really good ear for music, which is a blessing and a curse. So when I hear something microscopically out of time or microscopically out of tune, I'm like, I've got to fix it. So I'm just like constantly every day, you know, working on this 3rd album, which will be out in July the 7th, the 7th of the 7th. I like my 7th. So that it might be, you know, the trilogy. I might leave it at that. But if there's a call for another one, and then I may do a 4th, I don't know. But I like the idea of taking, you know, maybe even Rife's frequencies, because I've got that Rife frequency list, and there's 3 frequencies in there, three frequencies in there for insomnia. Now, there's so many people in the world that are suffering with they can't sleep. I was one of them. So what about taking those frequencies for insomnia, creating a track around it, or a whole album around it, and say, listen to this before you go to bed.
Yeah. It's a good idea.
So, and you know, what about an album for toothache, you know, or an album for diarrhea or something? I don't know, but there's a frequency for everything.
I remember going back to Mike Williams saying, yeah, the Beatles stuff, I'm retiring from that. And then I think that was 2018. Something like that. And then he did his 4-hour thing and he carried on doing it. And he keeps saying to us, I'm stopping doing that. And then he's just released a new one about AI and Beatles. You can't stop.
It's a never-ending rabbit hole, isn't it? I mean, if all the great work that he's done on the Beatles for years now, just take that and apply it to pretty much every mainstream band. Like, obviously, you're going to have your little scragglers around, maybe your Coldplays that make it look authentic. I think even there's dodginess to Coldplay as well, even though they seem incredibly benign. There might be a few that slip through the net, but any big bands that have real influence are going to have that darkness to it. It seems to be the case with every band you look at, like the Beatles. You pull behind the curtain and you just see nothing but, you know, a dark occultism there.
Well, even if some of the bands, whether they slip through the net or they allow some organic bands to happen so it keeps it real, the system's corrupt in it. So it's still in control in essence. They can still pull the plug or allow them to be successful if they want to be.
Yeah, and not only that, but the lyrical content has to be, thoroughly analysed, and so there is that, and not only that, even if it is good music and it is made with the right intent, which I highly doubt, and then it goes on all these platforms, it's in 440 hertz and it gets compressed as well to an MP3. And if you're compressing a full quality WAV file, for instance, and you compress it to an MP3, that loses 90% of the audio information. So all of them frequencies that they say, the human ear can't hear it anyway, so don't worry about it. You won't notice the difference. But no, you're missing the intent. You're missing some of those actually essential overtones and undertones. So just listening to good music that's made with a good intent, let's use Coldplay as an example, that it's really, even that you're still listening to utter shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, doesn't that sum up what we were talking about cooking? If they're taking that intention away, that essence out of the whole thing, where, when you're cooking, just prick that plastic thing and put it in your microwave, that's not your mum's cooking, is it?
There's no love there. There's no love at all. I'm very blessed to have a wonderful wife, and she puts her heart and soul, and she's a brilliant cook. And it's just like, and I live in a place where there's restaurants. There's so many restaurants around it. Tapas, you name it, you can get it. But I get a way better meal at home, way better. And it's just like, oh my God. It's like, I said to her, we should open a restaurant. You're incredible, because it's made. She's like, no, I just pick some things. I just throw it together. It's just, it's like, it's because the love is there. It's the intent is there. And as I said before we came on, like the guy by the name of John Goodman or John Goldman, I'm not sure, wrote a book on healing frequencies. And he says that your intent goes into a sound wave. Your consciousness goes into a sound wave. Sound waves are carriers of consciousness. So if I'm, putting my consciousness, and I genuinely want to help people, I genuinely want to make the musical landscape a better place. If I'm doing that with the right intent, then I think that's a very important ingredient that goes into it.
It's isn't that what humans are meant to be here for? Or some of us anyway. I mean, it seems like it to me. I mean, without going all hippie doody, surely helping people is one of the things that is part of our...
It does feel like the right thing to do. Unfortunately, people like you and I are very few and far between. That's the problem. But I see it growing now. I do see it growing. I haven't completely lost hope. But so, all I can do is do the best I can and get on my deathbed and go, do you know what? I tried, and I want to leave behind a bit of a legacy and leave behind these albums that people will always find. And my children's books, they might be in a dentist office somewhere. Someone will open a book and they'll go, oh, I didn't think about that. And I'll always be moving minds, even when I'm dead. And I like the idea of that.
Yeah, I think you've got to not necessarily leave your mark, but leave your essence, an intent, like we've just been talking. I think if anything,
I want proof that I was here, and
if anything to take away from this podcast, I mean, intent's a big thing, isn't it? And the essence of something, you can't take that. Well, you can take it away, but that sums up the plastic world that we actually live in now. Where going back to 2020, when you couldn't, I mean, I'm bald, but you couldn't cut your hair. Women couldn't cut their hair, or they couldn't go out for a walk. Any form of enjoyment, even if it was the football, for instance, that was manufactured anyway, even that was taken away. And so everything was turned into, just basically taking the enjoyment, taking your soul out of life.
Well, that's what AI is doing as well. Look what AI is doing with music. It's taken the soul out of music. There's no intent there. It can't put intent into this. So you have a completely soulless experience when you're listening to AI. Some of it's really good. Some of it's actually quite convincing. I mean, I can hear AI music instantly. And there will come a time when maybe in a couple of years, I look how fast it's grown over the last couple of years. So there will come a time in a couple of years' time where I listen to an AI song. I hope at that point I can still recognize that there's no soul in it, but it's getting so good at mimicking soulful voices now. So that is really, really destroying people's. I mean, I had a ringtone business as well. AI totally destroyed that. That's plummeted overnight because why would people buy a ringtone when they can just get an app to go, oh, maybe cut this part of the song out and make it my ringtone, so it's going to destroy a lot of lives, voiceover industry. It's even going to destroy therapists because you've got an online therapist, and it's just like we're stepping very slowly into a very digital soulless world.
But also we're entering a world where there will be less people. And I know that's a dark thing to talk about, but we are entering that world. So AI is coming in at the time, coincidentally, when there's probably going to be less people. So Because I don't think the powers that be could do with the argument from the people still alive, especially our generation. Maybe the youngsters would put up with it because they want to go out and enjoy themselves and things.
Yeah, they're going to love it. They're not going to see it. They're not going
No.
to see it. The waking aware people, we see it. We see it a mile off. But the youngsters now that are so, malleable, or whatever the word, impressionable.
Yeah.
They're going to lap it up. They love technology. They want every kid sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day. Not playing outside in the sunshine. That's where we're heading.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think we should leave it there. Actually,
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
Before we go down that dark hole down in the corner somewhere.
This is supposed to be a light. This is supposed to be the Feel Good Factor podcast. Let's bring it up with us.
But I think that music, I think everybody should at least listen to it, try it, because that me and Chris were talking about it last night. Actually, when I told him I was talking to you, I said he listened to it and he got the same sort of emotional feeling that I got. And from using frequencies, I'll run a scenario. When my wife had our youngest, she got a thing from breastfeeding. She she'll fucking kill me if she knows I'm talking about this, but anyway, it's called mastitis, and basically a blockage in the ducts. And she wanted to take some
lymphatic problem. I think that.
Yeah. So she went to the doctors and wanted to give her antibiotics. I said, look, just do me a favour. I know it's killing you, right? Because you're a greedy little bastard, and use this light frequency and see if it does. And it was a right frequency for specifically for mastitis.
Wow.
And that was about 15 years ago now. That was wow, this actually stuff works.
Do you still remember the frequency?
I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah.
I want to know what that frequency is.
Yeah. So.
Because that it sounds like a frequency that will help the lymphatic drainage system.
Yeah, well, in them high frequencies, there's a whole list of lymphatic clearances as well that I've used.
Interesting. How did you administer that sound, with headphones or?
No, it wasn't a sound. I used light.
Right.
Yeah, so it was light frequency, not sound frequency. So but it's the same thing. Yeah.
So there's a set of Rye frequencies for light as well.
Well, it's the same ones, the same frequencies for light. So I've got it's called a quantum. These are called quantum. I call it a quantum laser, but it's not actually a laser. They use lasers within this device, and they utilize the frequencies.
Off the top of your head, do you know what the frequency is?
Not off the top of my head. No, that I've got literally hundreds of them. It's
right. Yeah, me too.
You'll have them all. I'll try and dig them out for you, and I'll email them over.
I'll be interested to see if it's in the audible range. I'm interested to see the difference between light. I think light frequencies operate on a totally different higher spectrum, which are out of the range of our hearing. So that's really interesting. That once you get really really high in the frequency range, you starting to talk about light frequencies. So that's
So I've used it on not that particular frequency, but the ozone frequency. So we use ozone therapy. There's an ozone frequency as well. There's thousands, as you know. I don't have to tell you, but so we use it for light frequency. But so we have finished on something positive.
Nice. As I said before I came on, or whether it was in this stream, I think the future of well-being and healing will be sound and frequency. We've got to do away with this pharmaceutical nonsense, and we've got to start looking at what frequencies can actually do, and bring back that information and that knowledge, because it can be profound, and we can change people's lives.
And there are only nutters like us and people listening who can change that. Because changing your mind's free. That's what I always think and say to people. Changing your mind is free. Nobody can charge I know they try and control that, but they can't at the moment totally control it. But whereas in the scheme of things, the people that listen to this, if you go around the world, for instance, that's a huge amount of people. It's a huge amount of people. I remember during lockdown, they worked out the psychologist nutters worked out that around 3 to 5% of the population would never do what they were told in regards to what they were trying to do. Although a lot more didn't have the 3-dart finish, they knew they were a hardcore of 3 to 5% of the population. So if you equate that to the world, I worked it out. If you believe the figures of the population of the world, about 400 million people.
It's
Now, I would,
encouraging. It's very encouraging. I still think
yeah,
3 to 5%. We're not quite there.
I agree with you there. I think that's on the top side. That'd be our Christian's optimistic side, I think.
Yeah,
I would go more than 1%, if anything, if that.
yeah,
But anyway, whatever. It's still a large amount if you think of the age group of those people as well. The age group of those people would be our age group down to probably 35, if you like. And they would be the ones that say, no, we're not going ahead with it. We need to make a change. That
yeah,
was the breakaway civilization that Klaus Schwab was talking about.
yeah.
But
Well, we're part of that crowd. We're part of the trailblazers, aren't we?
is that good?
Well, I
In
mean,
some ways, it is.
it's the worst business decision I ever made, but at least I can sleep at night.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we'll leave it there. I will play the full song if that's all right with you that we played earlier as the outro for people to have a listen to. If you want, can you give us your contact details, Alex, if people want to purchase CDs off you?
Yeah, I mean, the healingwithfrequencies.net, you can see it on my little name thing about there. Healingwithfrequencies.net is the new website where you can purchase the albums in either unbastardized, complete, full quality WAV files, digital, or you can buy the physical CD, which is also unbastardized and, not compressed. And it's by Alex Michael, not Conspiracy Music Guru. So if you want to buy it for somebody who's allergic to the word conspiracy and you want to, try, just try it. So yeah, healingwithfrequencies.net. Type that into your browser and you'll see my frequency stuff. If you want to find my conspiracy stuff where I go completely crazy, search the words Conspiracy Music Guru on YouTube. Find my channel. Got about 80,000 subs there. Loads of visuals, loads of crazy stuff, but very, very visually entertaining and a lot of truth there, which is why I am completely, probably one of the most censored musical artists on the internet at the moment. I
think that's a good thing.
Well, it's a badge of honor, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. It's not a good financial salary making thing.
But baby needs new shoes. I've got to do something.
Yeah. All right, then, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, mate.
Welcome to the Feelgood Factor podcast. Now please welcome your host, Dom Watterson.